young and I don't know no other ways. I've been balling for the moment, but can't sight the better days. You fell off and now you lost the shit that you was just a phase. I became this on my own, no, this is not how I was raised.
Being it's AAU season now, it's relevant to bring up the topic that I keep seeing pop up online, but you hear it everywhere, is about what team you play for and if it matters and, those different things. I've always said in my time being involved in this stuff is that I don't think anything matters at where you go anywhere ever. If your performance isn't at a certain level. Once who you are as a player is at a certain level, and when I even say that term applies to about 1% of kids, so basically everyone that I'm speaking to or that will listen, it doesn't really matter until your performance gets to this height peak, and then these really small intricacies, both from mental and physical, they start to come into play. I use golf as a good analogy all the time. It's like, in golf, man, if we could talk about your clubs and your equipment but if you can't even put the club on the ball in any remote sense of the center of the face, it doesn't even matter, right? But then when you're on the PGA Tour or something like that, all these little things matters. The type of complex of the dimple of your golf ball could matter, all types of things, right? Versus regular Joes like us, it doesn't matter at all because we stink. So, and I'm not saying most people out there stink at basketball or you players stink. I'm saying we always try to have these conversations that are not relevant to us. And all that does is distract us and veer us off the path that we really want to be on, which is just being as good as we can possibly be. And so I think at no matter what age, I'm still firm on, will always be firm on, if you can avoid playing for a parent, don't do it with like a dad coach. I would always advise against it unless it's your truly best or only option. And then as far as who's on your team and what organization it is, what does it matter if you're not any good, man? I don't understand where, or I do understand, it's because people react emotionally and not practically. And when it comes to AAU basketball, the one thing that when we talk about these elite things, it's usually pertaining to like an end goal of a scholarship, right? And unfortunately or fortunately, that's usually Division I scholarship. So let me kind of use that against all you parents and players out there. I personally know I could go through my phone and show you a long list. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and put it up on the screen, but like this is a long list of high major Division I coaches. I have a women's long list of high major Division I coaches. Then I got Division II, Division III, all down the line. These are people I could pick up the phone and call. I know them enough to speak to them, have dealt with them at a high, communication basis at some point. Why is that relevant? Because you guys want to impress these people. This is why you do this elite showcase shit, right? Okay? Those people in my phone don't give a fuck about that, man. They don't care if these AAU programs close tomorrow. They don't care if the people running the tournaments go out of business tomorrow. Now, of course, there's some people who may have personal relationships with these people, so they don't want to see people hurt. I'm making a point that it doesn't matter. To a coach who is making $2 million a year and is looking to maybe move up in the NBA or build a legacy as one of the best coaches to ever do it, and has a big staff around them who they have to be able to provide for and give a platform to, they don't care about your AAU team. They don't care about your high school team. They don't care about the coach, the handler, the person in the middle doing recruiting. They don't care about none of us if it doesn't provide them with a player who is going to pad that legacy, to pad their wins, and I'm not putting it in, I don't mean to put it in a bad light. I'm not trying to say that coaches are like some scumbags and all they care. It's not what I'm saying at all. You have a goal, they have a goal. I have a goal. Your parent has a goal. Everybody has their own individual goals. And social media, in my opinion, has only heightened the need to hit your goals because people feel insecure about not reaching their goals and being able to post about their goals. So now everything is heightened. Like it's if you don't have something for me that can help me push my goal forward, it's fuck you. Like, that's the world we live in. That's our society. Without people saying it that way, it's like, hey, I'm gonna hit you and I got something. If you don't have something for me back, boom, click, fuck you. And I'm moving on to the next person. Why is that? Because everybody feels the stress and the need to be successful and broadcast it out there. So the temperature is much hotter when you're trying to make a play for yourself or your child or whoever, right? And so that's how they treat everything. They treat everyone that they deal with in that way. And so if I bring it back to even, like, let's say a 6th grade AAU program, if you don't have these certain things that I feel like I need for my child, whether it might be gear, as silly as that might sound, or certain events that you're going to, or different type of kids who are going to be on your team, or whatever connections you may have for some type of camps with rankings or something like that. If you don't have that, it's fuck you, and I move on to the next person. And the problem with that is there's nothing wrong with wanting to advance yourself and get things that are cool and have some, right? There's nothing wrong with that. The problem would be if, let's say, the program that you're saying fuck you to is actually the best for your basketball development, for your mental growth, for your physical growth, but they don't have these other things that you think you need to propel you forward, or that you think are going to help you out if you post it on the internet or don't post it on the internet. If they don't have those and you're saying fuck you and you're moving to the next, and you're only saying fuck you to that program because you want to try to reach this high pinnacle goal, but these people at this high pinnacle goal are telling you, whoa, 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 all that shit that you said fuck you about, we don't care about that. That doesn't matter at all. You're completely off kilter. And your child's mind, especially as a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old, even all the way up to high school, they're minors. Their mind is not developed yet. They can't think for themselves. So they're just brainwashed, essentially, with whatever you give them or whatever you allow them to get, whatever they see online. They have a warped reality, and they can be easily influenced. And that's not their fault. They're children. We were all that way. I was that way. Everybody who ever lived has been that way. Some of you are still fucked up and you're 40 years old and you're still that way. And so there comes a point where you have to start to, like, you pull back. When there's so much noise and so much going on and so many teams and so many events and this and that, you need to pull back. Like I said to a mother in our academy at the gym the other day, I said, at the end of the day, you know, your daughter's in 6th grade. Why does it matter where she goes? Why does it matter if she's the best player in the country or the worst player in the country? You know, I've brought this up before, where I've known people who were the best players in the country at 6th, 7th, 8th grade. They're now sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and they don't have shit to show for it, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you are at this young, tender age. Nobody gives. Actually, let me take it even a step further. I know you guys don't like hearing this. I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to put it in perspective for you. You're in state playoffs right now with your high school team. Let's say you average 20 points a game. You win your state playoff. Do you think, when you are my age, when you're 33, when there's as many grays in your hair as there is in my braids, do you think that these 10, 11, 12-year-olds, some girl you meet do you think she's going to give a fuck about you winning a state title? Seriously, just think about that. Is anybody going to care what you did in high school? No. They damn sure won't care what you did in middle school. They damn sure won't care what you did in elementary. Like me, you would sound like an absolute fool telling someone that you were ranked 50 in the country in 7th grade if you were using that as some type of crutch to get something for yourself, right? So, like, you guys don't think that way. Parents don't think that way, because you've been grabbed. You've been grabbed by your local community, the people in your area. You've been grabbed by social media. You've been grabbed by all of these social influences out there, both negative and positive, and it warps your thinking. Somebody like myself, you know, and a lot of people, even in these AAU programs even, we are in the business of it. So everything we do has to be logical. It has to be practical. It has to make sense, because if it doesn't, you don't have a good service. You don't have a good product. You can't run an operation. You can't run a business. You can't run a company. So we pull back from everything. As you guys keep getting deeper like this, we keep pulling back further, the good ones at least. And it's just really such a shame, because you know and see so many young people who you feel, I live vicariously through every kid in here. In a good way, I live vicariously through all of them. And so when I'm pressing on certain things and I'm trying to get them to think a certain way and understand a certain thing, it's because I'm vicariously living through them. I know what's coming. I want that goal to be hit for them because I didn't get it for myself. So I see this as an opportunity to pass information on to say, yo, wait, I did that. Don't do that. I'm telling you that's stupid. It's going to fuck you up. I did that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And it's frustrating and it's sad to see, you give that to somebody and they still just keep doing it and they get further and further and further away until you can't reach them anymore. And I would say the biggest problem is, which everybody knows parents are the biggest problem in youth sports. Everybody knows that. It's been that way since the beginning of time. It hurts the most when the parent is actually the one who is dragging the kid further and further away from the reality, because a lot of the times too, this is another thing I have noticed. I've noticed this in this 11 years. The parents who, how do I say it? Like the parents who were the least athlete, like that were not an athlete, that were not elite, the ones who were garbage athletes when they were young, they tend to be more and more like delusional and radical about their kids. And I guess that's because they're living vicariously. The problem is they're doing it in a negative way, in a harmful manner. Not all the time, but I've noticed that it's usually the parents who didn't even start on a high school team who jump to all these things the most. And it's so frustrating to watch it happen. And so it's such a downer, it's such a shame to know that goes on, because I think the real reason is, for me personally, is because you can't talk to them. Like you can't, no matter what I tell you, say, you are so stupid that you are just not gonna grasp it. And it's frustrating, especially when they're good people. You're like, man, I really wanna help you out, and you just don't know what's best for you, and you are so brainwashed at this point and warped that you and your child are gone. And having the social media following that we do, I get so many comments and DMs, right? And without knowing anybody at all, just reading, 2 sentences in a DM, I can like tell which bucket they're in. And that's what I'm saying. So whether it's people close to us or not, I've just noticed the warpedness of thinking with parents and players. With kids, it's always warped. Like you very rarely meet an 11-year-old whose brain is just like ready to go and they're not a goofball. They're all goofballs, they're children. The parent goofballs are the ones that hurt the most. And back to my original point about it just doesn't matter where you play and what you do. How does any of that matter? If you're not any good, and even if you are good and you're not in the correct mind frame, if I'm a college coach, a high major coach, and I'm dealing in this portal and all these things, it's the same stuff as building a 10-year-old team. I don't care if you got a 44-inch vertical, you can shoot the lights out, and you're 6'8". Like, you know what I want to see? I want to see how you act in practice. If I'm recruiting and I'm scouting, especially transfer portal, fuck the game film. I want to see practice film. I need to call the coaches that I know, personal relationships, and see if they'll be so kind to give me their practice film. I want to see how you act. I want to see when we're doing walkthrough and you got to be matched up with a walk-on kid who never gets in the game. I want to see how you act. When you got to do a shooting workout and the only kid is the 6-foot white kid walk-on, he's the only one in the workout with you, I want to see how you act versus how you act when it's the top 2 kids on your team, or a red shirt who is a top 100 recruit will be playing next year. I want to see how you act when it's not cool. I want to see how you act with your body language, the things you say, when we have to do the shit that everybody hates. That's what I want to see. And because that's mindset, that's mind frame. I need to know what type of people I'm dealing with, because it's about the journey, not the destination. So I'm okay with missing the NCAA tournament as long as I'm not losing my job. I'm okay with missing the NCAA tournament as long as our journey has been correct, as long as our journey has been right, rather than figuring it out with a bunch of fucking assholes and people who have not bought into what I did, and I didn't really do shit as a coach. It's just like I was able to recruit a whole bunch of talent and they went out there and did it, And so it's the same thing. That's the mindset that I think the AAU coaches should have and the youth coaches should have. And when that is your mindset, you're always gonna be fulfilled which is the most part. I'm talking everybody, parent, player, coach, everybody's going to be mentally fulfilled. We won't have mental health insecurity issues. And then it will take all the other shit out of play. We won't care what team we're with. We won't care the name on the jersey, the brand of the tournaments. We won't care. We'll only care about progression. We'll care about the journey.